Do you believe in fairies? Not the winged, glittery Disney kind. I'm talking about the original fairy folk, the Irish fairy folk, because the fairies of Ireland were never tiny and they definitely were never cute. They were, however, very powerful, ancient, and also very connected to the land itself. Hi, I'm Maria, and this is Life, Spirit, and the Messy Middle. Now, before I go on, I just want to state that everything I share on this channel is for personal reflection and entertainment purposes only. I'm sharing my own interpretations, beliefs, and experiences, and not trying to give professional advice of any kind. So there's nothing here on this channel that is intended to be replaced with medical, psychological, legal, or even financial advice. And if you're dealing with something really serious, I suggest you reach out to a qualified professional or even someone you trust. Okay? Now, I'm not trying to make this into a Snoresville history lesson. I won't be diving into testy or dusty old textbooks or monotone mythology. But as you probably guessed, today's video is about the mythical fae. Or are they? So in Irish mythology, there was a divine race called the Tuatha Dea Danann, and they were said to be luminous, skilled in magic, and deeply attuned to nature. And according to myth, they ruled Ireland long before the mortal ancestors of the Irish actually arrived. And eventually, they were defeated by the Milesians, which were the original or early Celtic settlers. But they were never destroyed. So instead, it is said that they withdrew underground into ancient burial mounds and scattered across the Irish countryside. And from that point forward, they became known as the East She. Now, the East She means people of the mounds. The word she refers to ancient early mounds and passages, tombs, and ring forts that still actually are around the Irish countryside today. So when we talk about the Irish fairies, we're talking about beings believed to live with these within these sacred landscapes. And in my belief, I think it's a realm woven into ours, not distant, not separate, but existing beside us, just separated by a thin veil. Okay? Now, these beliefs were so strong that even in modern Ireland, roads have been rerouted and avoided by or avoid cutting through fairy tree paths. Okay, there was, if my memory is correct, in 1999, a motorway that was rerouted to actually protect one single hawthorn tree. And it was believed that it was connected to the East Sheet. So what we're really talking about isn't really medieval folklore. It's more responding to modern infrastructure and responding to ancient belief. It is a part of modern infrastructure and it is responding to ancient belief. Now, fairy forts, also called raths or ring forts, were left undisturbed, and farmers would basically plow around them, and builders would completely avoid them because the East She were not considered imaginary. To the Irish, they were considered extremely powerful and almost a threat. Now, in early folklore, they were described as tall, noble, and even luminous beings, not the fragile, winged, and not definitely harmless. They were considered to bless you, they were known to curse you, and at times they could invite you to their world. But if you entered, you'd have to be really, really careful for many reasons. But one of those reasons is that time doesn't necessarily move the same way there that it does here. One night, it is said, in fairy realm could equal years in hours. And there were countless stories of people entering a mound and returning decades later, completely unchanged, while everyone that knew them had aged or even passed on. Now, whether you see that as literal or symbolic, the pattern is extremely fascinating because, and here's something really important, the Fae are not part of just Irish tradition. Across the world, we see similar beings described in different cultures. Um, Next door in Scotland, they are known as just she. In Wales, they are known as the Talwyth Teg. In Norse mythology, they are known as the Alvar, and in Slavic traditions, the Vila or Rusalka. Even in parts of South America, there are beings that they call duendes, and they're like small, elusive nature spirits. These are different names, they're different languages, different cultures, but with very similar themes. And like hidden beings tied to nature, liminal spaces, they have respect for the land. And there are consequences that you face if you are arrogant in regards to these beings. What truly fascinates me is that throughout ancient history, not just folklore, we see the same patterns describing something very similar. And over time, especially during the Victorian era, fairies were softened. They were miniaturized and given wings. They were made almost whimsical, but that wasn't the original belief. The original Ishi were powerful, or known to be very powerful. They were morally complex beings tied to monuments that even predate Christianity by thousands of years. When Christianity actually arrived, anything that was connected to the older pagan world became almost suspicious. Um, Fairy mounds were reframed, wise women were renamed, sacred sites were reinterpreted, so to speak. Belief, but belief didn't just disappear, right? It actually evolved. And stories can be like the game of telephone, okay? That passes from person to person, generation to generation, changing slightly depending on who's actually telling the story. But it's also something that remains at the very core of who we are. Now, here's where I stand. I refuse to basically just dismiss centuries of human belief and testimony. That doesn't mean I will blindly believe in everything, but it means I have a healthy dose of curiosity, like most of us do. And it means that recognizing that there are entire cultures across continents and that have described basically beings connected to land, to nature, and to other realms. Now, maybe these are just symbolic. Maybe they're just ancestral memory. Maybe they represent some sort of suppressed spiritual tradition. Or maybe they are something that humanity has slowly and over time been encouraged to forget, especially if organized systems benefit from being the only recognized bridge between humanity and the unseen. Um, I suppose it's really up to us uh, to believe in what we want, actually. And and in a way, I think we've been taught for hundreds of years, even thousands of years, to categorize these stories into myth and imagination and superstition. But myth doesn't mean meaningless. Myth encodes memory, myth encodes culture, myth encodes lived experiences, and sometimes myth encodes encounters we don't fully understand. So I suppose instead of dismissing or blindly accepting, I choose to remain open. And I invite you to explore that openness with me, okay? Now, in saying that, today I want to do something slightly different to my original video with the cards. Something like, what type of truth sits behind these myths? Are they purely symbolic? Are they ancestral memory? Or is it true that there is something about these beings that humanity has slowly been actually encouraged to forget? Now, right now, I'm going to be pulling out the cards and I will be doing the Tarot of Dreams today. I kind of find it fitting because it's very kind of mystical in a way. So let me just grab these cards. I think, let me see. Okay. So I think that I might ask my spirit guides and yours, what can they reveal about these myths? Would they be true? Would they not be true? Now, this is just a very simple 3-card pull. Now, bear with me while I shuffle. Actually, I think I may be able to pull you down today so you can see what I'm actually doing. Okay, these are the cards. Now, let me shuffle. What do we need to know about these myths? Now, as usual, please take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. And let's see what comes through. I will just be doing a 3-card pull. Okay, now, what do we need to know? Okay, that's the Three of Wands. The Ace of Swords. That's really interesting. And the Nine of Coins. Okay, that's really interesting, actually. All right. So I'm going to pull you up again. Alrighty. Now, the Three of Wands. Bear with me while I calibrate and listen in. The first card we pulled, or I pulled, was the Three of Wands. Okay. Now we see this young man that is watching or looking at a ship come in from out of the ether. There are three wands around him, which are fiery energy, and he's sitting on a rock. Looks to be at the edge of like a rock facing just near the ocean. Now, what I'm getting from this card is basically that we have received in the past a lot of information, or they have given us information. And I'm pretty sure that we are still kind of waiting for more information on whether these myths are true or not. And it almost looks like there will be a lot of information coming through. It's almost like we're not really in a hurry, because we kind of feel like it's already there, and we know that it's only a matter of time before more things come through and more evidence of the fairies or other mythological things become a reality, and we see them as truth. Now, the other card I got was the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords very much depicts truth. And it basically means that there is a lot of truth and that it's coming out. I would almost say that it's the truth that is being suppressed will be coming out very soon. Now, I don't know if any of you remember, but I talked about the suppression of our inner truth, and being able to talk about certain things because society won't allow us, in a way, to talk about these things. Just bear with me. I'm just going to fix this camera a little bit because it was a little bit kind of weird. So, yeah, this really is, the truth is about to come out. And as I was saying before, I have said in my past video that within the next 10 years, everything that we know today is going to be completely different. And I think that some of the reasons that's going to be is because what we have known to be truth in the past isn't actually truth. And we will be getting honest communications and real evidence about our past and myths that were categorized as imagination and superstition coming out to be true. Now, the Nine of Coins is a card of stability. It's a card of independence. And from the image, I almost see like a beautiful young girl with a dove in her hand, symbolizing peace and knowledge, with flowers all around and coins all around. They almost seem like mythical coins, to be honest. I really do think that this is a card for us to independently go out and research, and have our own beliefs. And also to understand that whatever truth is coming out is not to destabilize our everyday life. It's probably to enhance it. This is a really auspicious card. This is a really good card. And I think that living through our own research, doing our own research, and being independent in our thinking is what is going to be very prevalent in the future. So, yeah. Now, I might just do a quick other card. So bear with me while I do this. Just a second. Okay, it's a little bit unsteady. Coming down again. Okay, and I think I might just ask the cards whether these myths will soon be revealed. And how will the collective... Oh, okay, wait a minute. There's too many cards, I'm sorry. Normally I'll get a card or two that fall, but not this much. Will these myths and legends come out in quick order? And what will the collective take? Okay. So the Nine of Wands, that's an interesting card. Okay. Just do 2 piles this time. What else do you want to tell us? Okay. Again, another queen comes out, and I'm going to tell you something that I'm getting. Now, the Nine of Wands, a lot of the time depict waiting around. Okay. Now, here we go. Hi there again. Now, the Nine of Wands, a lot of the time, basically tells us to be patient. We've basically set our intentions. We know what we want. And now we just have to be patient and wait for whatever it is that we're wanting to come to fruition. Okay. But the Queen of Wands, when I picked her out, this is the Queen of Wands, beautiful card. These are beautiful cards. When I picked her out, I remembered something I learned a while back, and that was that the Fae were a matriarchal society. So the females kind of ruled. Um, they were very much in charge. But that doesn't mean that they were, um, that doesn't mean that they treated their men like society and our history and the men in our history have treated women with indifference, and they don't have a voice, and treated like we are servants to them. The Fae did not treat their men like servants, they treated them like equals. Um, but they were very much a matriarchal society. And I really do believe that once this card came out, and then the Seven of Cups came out, which is a card of illusion and delusion and having so much to around, just to pick from, or basically we have so much, we don't know what to choose, that it's basically telling us that we have been given so many different lies, so many different things to think about, so many different stories, that we lose what history really wanted us to believe in. Now, being a woman, obviously, I'm going to believe that we are very powerful, and that's why we kind of been treated as less than. We are very maternal, we are very loving, we can be very, very focused and ethical and moral. I'm not saying that all women are like that today. If we look at today's society, and especially one particular woman that's in a what they called it e-files, she wasn't at all anything like a woman really should be. I'm not going to go into that because I'm pretty sure that most people would understand why she wasn't like that. If we look at her history and who her father was and her religious beliefs and what they followed, that will tell you everything. However, the story is about the Fae. And in these cards, they are saying that we don't need to wait anymore. And if we are waiting for more advice, the advice is that we have been given so many stories. And we believe in whatever we want to believe, I guess. I actually believe that we are going to be very surprised in the near future with what is coming in regards to just this, not just this topic, actually, in regards to many things that we have been suppressed to believe in or taught that they are just imagination, figures of our imagination and superstition and not real. But it's up to us to decide what we feel is real or not, right? Okay, so to finish off today, I don't want to go into any more. I would love for everyone to see this channel as a place for exploration and not to have answers like carved in stone, but, and as I have said before, some days, we'll talk about spirituality. Some days we'll talk about myths and legends, and some days we may even delve into the conspiracy theories. But I would like us to always sit and be comfortable in just the messy middle. If you enjoy this topic, if you like and enjoy myths and legends like I do, um, and want something different to whatever else is out there, please feel free to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.